Welcome back. You're watching After the Bell. Moving ahead with the government's divestment plans, and especially as far as the residual stake go in Hindustan Zinc and Balco, an interministerial group that has begun the process of valuation of the two companies so as an attempt to complete the deals by the end of March. That means by this fiscal. For more, let's go across to Akansha. Akansha, you know, the government obviously very keen to try and sell the residual stake in the listed Ytsav as well as the unlisted Balco, can try and raise almost 24,000 crore rupees from the exercise.
Absolutely, that's the plan. In fact, the CCA has given the go-ahead to the 29.5% government stake sale in Hindustan Zinc. However, Balco still has to go to Cabinet, and the process of finalizing that Cabinet note is currently underway. Meanwhile, today the interministerial group discussed the valuation of the government stake in both Ytsav and Balco. Though Ytsav is going to be via an auction route, the government is going to get its stake valued in both those companies, and it prepared the request for proposal today. So it is going to be inviting bankers to participate in the bids and then to shortlist them so that the valuation can be completed. Remains to be seen if it will be done in this fiscal or not, because you only have about 1.5 months left till the end of the fiscal, and with the government very comfortable on the spectrum auction and expected to exceed its 40,000 crore target, they may just have enough cushion for the Ytsav Balco stake sale not to be necessary in this year. Back to you.
Right, so the interministerial group, which is, by the way, co-chaired by the Secretary of the Mines Ministry and the Disinvestment Ministry, had its first meeting. Some forward steps as far as the stake sale goes. Now to the data front, all eyes are on the advanced estimates for the GDP for the current fiscal. A CNBC TV 18 poll shows that India's economic growth is likely to marginally improve from a decade low of 4.5% clocked during the last fiscal to about 4.72% in FY14. For more on that CNBC TV 18 poll, let's go across to Ekta Batra. Ekta.
Hi, thanks Nayantara for that. Well, you know, the consensus which we've come up with is around 4.72%, but really it is the broad range of anywhere between 4.7 or maybe narrow range rather of 4.7 to 4.8% that the street is working with in terms of what the CSO will deliver for the FY14 GDP estimate at 5:30 p.m. Now, in terms of the breakup, however, that would be more keenly watched because of what we're expecting sector-wise. For example, agriculture is at around 5.2%. That's what the street is working with, and the range was anywhere between 4 to 6.5%. Industries, which has been slowing down very considerably, and that was evident in the IIP data as well. That was actually in a contraction from April to November, indicating that industries is going to possibly be the most dismal set of numbers within the entire GDP data that is going to come out, and the range is anywhere between 0.3 to 1%. Now, in terms of services data, the services is expected to be an uptake or maybe an uptake to around 6% to 6.2%. That's the range that we're working with, and this compares to 7% that they did in FY13. Now, there will be a little more of clarity which is required because the FY13 GDP estimate was revised lower to 4.5% versus 5% just a couple of days ago, and hence there could be some amount of revision which could actually take place in terms of the economist estimates as well. But nonetheless, the other factors which we will be watching out for will be the gross fixed capital formation, the private final consumption, as well as what they would be possibly doing in terms of government's final consumption, and that would be an indicator of how aggressive the government has been spending. And to put things into perspective, there's already 95% of the GDP that is done. The government expenditure has been quite aggressive up till now, so that will be interesting to watch out as well. But overall, you're expecting around 4.7 to 4.8% in terms of GDP, but it could be possibly boosted on the higher side simply because of a lower base effect, because the previous year's GDP was revised lower.
Anika, we'll touch base with you once that figure is out, officially expected around 5 p.m. today. Thanks a lot for joining us with that preview. Moving on, and what will be the first big sale in the Tata Group after Cyrus Mistry came on board? Tata Communications South Africa business is in the final stages of being sold to Vodacom for about $502 million. But sources say that the deal requires government approval. Kritika standing by with the exclusive details. Kritika, you know, it's pretty clear that Cyrus Mistry wants to exit telecom business, is of course a part of that move.
Well, yes, Neotel, which is Tata Communications South African subsidiary, has been going through losses since the last 6 to 7 quarters, which is why Tata Communications in September had decided to put this on the block. I understand that Vodacom is in the final stages of buying this, and the valuation that it has offered is $502 million. So that comes up to around 3,000 crore rupees. If you look at the overall debt at Tata Communications books, it's around 11,000 crore rupees. If you compare this deal along with the land sale, the total debt reduction that they are looking at is almost 4,000 crore rupees. Now, I understand that there were a couple of issues with respect to union clearances. However, I understand that Tatacom has cleared that this week. However, they are now waiting for a government clearance. Considering the fact that government holds 26% in Tatacom, they need a clearance from the government before going ahead with this. DOT has already given its in-principle approval, but a final approval is expected. And I understand from my sources that possibly it could come in by this month. No official comments coming in from Tatacom, however.
Our communication stock down by about 1% in trade today. Thanks, Akritika, for joining us with those details. We have to slip into a short break. On the other side of After the Bell, it's a boost for Telangana supporters as the Supreme Court has dismissed 9 petitions that challenge the bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh.